Alright. Maybe I'm just the dumb one?
We are all dumb on this blessed day.
It's okay, it's a Sunday. Anyways, welcome everyone to... I was about to say Destination Divergence.
Episode 69.
Nice. No.
Nice.
Champions of the Colossus, episode 26B.
Nice.
We are with the Chaos Goblins group.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with nice on that one.
It is still the 11th of Heat's Wrath, and it is only about 2 p.m. It is still downpouring, though it doesn't really obscure your vision as much as, like, some other crazy, wacky weather days. After the dragon flew over our Chaos Goblins, the group kept their head down and continued on the main road, trying their best to avoid detection from the dragon's mother, who was headed northward in search of her child's murderers. Along the road, the group comes across a strange door in the middle of the road. Magic seemed to seep out of the seams of this door? Both Lorelei and Everett were curious of this, approaching the door while Ulfryk stood back with the two children, Inmaia, the champion of the goddess of death, if none of you guys remember that, and Athil, who's the queen. Strangely, the rains of the day seemed to turn to snow the closer you got to the door. Within moments, a cold hand reached out of the center of the door, as if the door was merely a portal. Athil ran forward, seeing the motion first, and attempted to push Lorelei out of the way, but she's small, so that didn't work. Out from the door came a Behur Hag, a resident of the Feywilds. Her eyes locked onto Athil, and she reached out, ready to sweep her away. The group fought hard, Everett taking the time to banish the Behur Hag and keep distance from the Grimmsnarls who emerged. The banishment succeeded, and Ulfryk dispelled the portal to keep the hag from reemerging. I realized I'm saying emerge a lot in this. Upon defeat of the last Grimmsnarl, it cried out, "Our mistress will be back." From the snow-covered patch where the portal lay, a crystal flower grew. Athil plucked the flower, for she sensed the battle was over and was intrigued by the obviously fey-origin flower. Everett, afraid and wanting to keep the queen safe, obvious reason, was ready to get rid of the flower once he learned it was magical in nature. Lorelei fought him while Ulfryk lectured Athil to listen to them. Athil became flustered and began yelling back. DM...
Did I at least get to put the flower in Athil's hair still?
I think so. It was kind of debated on... I'm gonna say yes, though. Like, the flower got in her hair, but then you guys were yelling about it, and, like... I was a big dum-dum, because with detect magic, I was like, yeah, it's magical. Because I wanted it to be like, ah, yes, it's, like, it could be used to find focus, and, like, it was magically made, because, like, it wasn't there before. But apparently, like, I don't have to do that for, like, things that actually don't have some sort of, like, magic spell or something attached, like it's not a magic item. So that was my bad. So everybody just thought it was a cursed item or a tracking device, and that's why this whole conflict happened. But it's okay. I big dum-dum. I explained myself. Everything fine. So after I explained that,
to be fair.
They finally dropped the subject because they realized in game they like totally realized that it was not an actual magical item or something that could track them. So Athil gets to keep the flower, and had a heartfelt conversation with Ulfryk, and both Lorelei and Everett stormed off in frustration and went into separate areas of their cart to just kind of fume steam. And what did the other NPC do, you might ask? She just kind of stabbed things. So that's all she's good for. And we're moving on. You guys are still on the road to Willowdale. You got about, I want to say halfway through your travels for the day. So you'd be about normal horse, casual going. You'd be about here. And that's when you got kind of attacked. So what would you guys like to do for the second half of the day?
I do not know.
I am
You guys
not
could keep
doing-
watch while you're traveling. You guys could gather supplies or food or reagents. You guys could practice skills, read books.
Do you need to practice my minor illusions?
Okay, did we do that morning? Like, did we figure that out for traveling yet?
I don't think we figured out the morning.
Yeah, okay, so
Anything.
I guess add 4 to that.
Alright.
In the morning, I would have been looking for reagents. In the afternoon, I wouldn't be doing anything.
Okay, so we can do reagents for like half the day.
As for me,
I am happy to continue keeping watch.
Sounds great. Nick, why don't you roll me a perception check while I bring up the gathering for the Lorelei that is not Big Sedge. Oh fuck,
yeah,
where is it?
so-
Alright, so how long does it typically take? So it's 8 hours. So what we can do instead is kind of cut whatever you find in half unless it's like only one item.
That's good.
Whoever has the loud typey click clack, could you just mute yourself when you're
Oh, hey! I still have my teaching mode on.
Oh no.
Yeah, one
Alright.
second. That will no longer come through. Thanks for complaining.
not. So,
Anyone think?
we'll call this the forest area. So you can go ahead and roll for that. The
What am I rolling? D100?
You can roll, one D100 and then roll a wisdom check.
Straight wisdom. Okay.
Or if you have an herbalism kit and are proficient with it, you can add a proficiency bonus to the roll.
I have 1, but I'm not proficient with it. Does that matter?
It does say
I
you
don't
have to be
think
proficient with it.
matters. Okay. And then wisdom check. Normal.
Alright, you pass. And with a 55, you get a common reactive reagent.
Alright. Noted.
Everett's doing his practicing. Ulfryk is looking out with an 18. Let's roll for that. Imagine I roll like a really bad number.
Imagine, bro.
I mean, I'm rolling on the non-combat table, so I think there's only like one thing on the non-combat table that's actually combat.
Then why is it on the non-combat table?
Well, it's more of like something like comes to say hi to you, and then if you fight it, like it becomes a combat. Alright. And Gwendolen, what are you doing for this I guess for the whole day of traveling, because I didn't do it before.
Probably just helping Lorelei with whatever she's crafting.
She's gathering, so why don't you also roll a wisdom check for me, and I'll.
All right.
100.
He's still.
Good. Alright. Okay, so you guys also find a common curative reagent.
Hey. Fuck.
So, you guys continue through the day. Both Lorelei seems to be very quiet while you're traveling. Starts keeping to herself, mostly because of the arguments that had ensued and, the battle
He's
that had
curled
just
up in a
happened.
ball of sad in the corner.
Curled up in a ball of sand in the corner. Inmaia is bugging Everett about being able to hold the micropig and says that she'll help him with sleight of hand if, or not sleight of hand, she'll help him with his, she'll watch his minor illusion if she can hold him. And then that becomes that thing. Athil seems also very quiet, probably because she doesn't yell often, and you guys kind of bombarded her a little, so she's also just kind of like in ball of sage. And Ulfryk keeps an eye out outside of the cart with Tinnel, trying to stay dry while the horses are getting basically soaked by the rain. And over the course of the next couple of hours, you guys make it about here. You do know that you can probably push the dogs a little more. Or the dogs. Sorry, there's dogs coming downstairs. You could probably push the horses a little more. If you wanted to get to your destination sooner. You just know that they'll be a little exhausted from that. I apologize if you hear the dog hacking.
Your dog can hack?
Well, she's got 4 of them, so at least one of them's gotta be talented.
True.
Sorry, what was that? Hello?
Think of your hacking dogs.
Sorry. Oh yeah, the hacking dogs. Yeah, Tyson has the cold, so he's just sick. He's sick. Whatchamacallit? So you know you can push the horses a little further. However, it's getting dark, and it seems that the wind is starting to pick up, and the rain is starting to fall even harder. Would you like to push another 10 miles? Or would you like to pull over and kind of rest for the night?
Good question.
I mean, I am not involved in that. So,
I mean, does it seem like the horses are getting worn out by it?
No, but if you push them an extra 10 miles, they will get more exhausted by that.
I don't need to push them further. Well, do we have decent cover where we are now?
I mean, you have the cart. The cart is not leaking, so there's no leakage in the cart. You guys can sleep there. And there's ample amounts of trees around you.
Okay.
It's not super dense, like a super dense forest, but it's a good amount for you to like kind of tuck the cart somewhere so it's not getting pitter-pattered with rain.
Yeah, we'll camp here. We'll tuck the cart and camp here.
Alright. So you guys are camping for the evening in the cart, I assume? Or are any of you guys exiting the cart to camp outside or in a tent? Are you guys staying in the nice, safe, warm spot?
Yes, that.
I remain curled up in the cart.
I will curl up on the floor of the cart.
Alright. Are any of you guys keeping, while I try to find the camping page of this, are any of you guys keeping watch as part of your camp actions?
I can, yeah.
Here we go. So camp actions for tonight, you have the options to keep watch. You won't be able to... Wait, hold on. Okay, yeah, you won't be able to craft tonight, just because you guys aren't setting up a campfire. You guys also won't be able to cook, or... Basically, the only thing you can do unless you have a campfire is take a watch.
Alright.
There's 8 hours to the rest, so we need 8 hours for a watch. I know the 2 elves of the group can do a 4-hour watch, so that could take up
Lorelei
some
is
time.
sleeping.
Lorelei is
Not
sleeping through the
trancing,
night.
just sleeping.
You're not trancing,
Yup.
but you need to trance to sleep.
I think
can't
trance
sleep normally?
substitutes sleep, but I don't actually know what the rules are on that.
So could she, like,
Yeah.
sleep instead of trance? Is that an option?
I mean, I don't see the problem with it, even if it is like.
You know, that's fine. But you'll have to, yeah, you're just sleeping the full 8 hours, instead of trancing into the Feywilds.
Into the Feywilds? I can't go there. It's illegal.
Isn't it when you go into a trance, you kind of like go into
You
like?
just meditate.
I thought it was like you had like some sort of like state of mind. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You sleep through the night, or try to sleep through the night. Gwennanan is taking a 4-hour watch or just a 2-hour watch?
I'm happy with a 4-hour watch.
Alright, just checking. So there's 4 more hours to that watch if either Everett or Ulfryk, well, if Everett and Ulfryk want to take the watch, the whole night will be covered. If they don't, there will be some missed time.
I will go ahead and take 2 hours of that.
Alright.
Everett is used to the trancers handling it, so unless someone tells him, he's not going to know to take a watch.
Alright. Would anyone tell Everett about this?
That is fair.
But I think that Lorelei might sleep tonight, rather than taking a watch. She seems really exhausted. We might need some more help. I can only do about 4 hours.
Alright. I will take the last watch then.
Thank you.
Alright, so correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I heard, the order is Gwennanan and Ulfryk Everett?
Yeah.
Nice. We'll start the night with Gwennanan.
Alright, perception check.
Please. Alright. So Gwennanan, the first 2 hours of your night go by pretty easy. Do you keep watch kind of like in the cabin or in the doorway of the cabin? In the doorway of the cart looking outwards? Or do you go outside and kind of just find somewhere that's a little dry to kind of stay under?
Probably outside, but nearby.
Alright. So we'll say that you're tucked kind of under this tree that Ulfryk had parked, Ulfryk and Tyndall had parked the car kind of near. And you're staying relatively dry. The very end of your shoulders getting a little wet, but you kind of move out of the way every now and then just to kind of give it some space. And the night is pretty calm. Aside from the sounds of the storm, you can hear some lightning off in the distance, as well as the sounds of a couple of animals kind of scurrying back to get to their home den or, you know, whatever nest they have. And then for like a hot second, you feel like you may have fallen asleep. Because for a second you're like, this makes no sense. Why can't I hear anything? All of a sudden the kind of air seems to, not like the actual rain itself, like, but it feels like you're in an air bubble of silence for a moment. As if, have you ever had that like ear ringing sensation? Or kind of
have I?
muffled. That's kind of what it feels like. And it's only for a couple moments, and you look around, and suddenly the sound gets back to where it normally was. You can hear the rain clearly, and everything seems to be fine.
Do I have any idea what that might have been? Like, potentially the effects of the silence spell, or some kind of other effect?
You can roll me a religion check.
A religion check, you say? Right. I will roll one of them. Oh, I'm good at religion. I always forget about that. Didn't change my roll, though.
Alright,
We're just on a roll
13.
for 13 today.
I know, the 13's not...
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst.
No, +8, though.
So with a 13, The only logical thing you can think of, other than somebody just cast a silence spell on you and then immediately dropped it within like a second, is that the gods of the world tend to give signs or omens in really weird ways. And maybe this could be it. But otherwise, you're not entirely sure.
Hmm. Wonder. I look around momentarily to see if anyone else is awake.
You look around the outside of the cart, and I don't know, is anybody taking a midnight stroll? Yeah.
Everyone roll for restlessness.
No, I'm kidding. But no, there's nobody awake walking around. You see the door of the cart from where you are. It hasn't been opened since your watch started, and there doesn't seem to be any noises or movements that you can sense that would indicate that someone else is around.
Alright, so thinking I'm alone, I will say, Milo, was that you?
Hold on a second. You hear a thunderclap, like almost immediately after you ask that question.
Mr. T, yes. Has he ever communicated with me like that before?
I don't know. In your lifetime, have you ever had a kind of holy connection to Milo? Like, have you ever had an instance like this before? This can totally be up to you.
Oh boy, I mean, I would assume so. I'm 100 years old and have been his champion the whole time.
Yeah, so we can say that Milo doesn't speak to you too often. He kind of stays silent and content with, what you're doing as champion. But he has occasionally given you signs, particularly when something really bad is about to happen.
Oh, good. Oh, good. That sounds good.
Discomfort.
Typically, his omens are kind of followed up with new knowledge after your passing trance of a possible remedy that may or may not always work. You followed them sometimes and they've gone poorly, and then you followed them sometimes and they have helped you avoid getting knocked in the noggin occasionally, or knocked unconscious when fighting.
Yeah. Always good to avoid getting crimed on.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I will take note. Thank you. And when it comes time for Ulfryk's watch, unless there's anything else that needs to be said, or that I noticed before that.
So for the rest of your night and after your kind of conversation, with Milo,
Communion.
yeah, you notice that things have just kind of gone back to normal. There is still thunder and lightning, but it doesn't seem to come at very unique, opportune times when you're speaking. So you don't think Milo's trying to communicate with you anymore. However, the rest of the night goes by, or the rest of your watch goes by without any events.
Alright. So when I go to wake up Ulfryk, I will wake him up as normal and say, Ulfryk, I'm going to try to sleep a little bit more lightly tonight, or meditate more lightly. Something happened while I was on watch that gives me a sort of divine sense of uneasiness. Just be very careful.
Oh, great. I'm sure we needed more trouble.
Well, it seemed more like a portent than a threat, if that's any consolation.
Not really.
No, not really.
Thank you for letting me know.
You're welcome.
Alright.
Well,
Ulfryk,
yep, take.
do you take your watch outside, kind of under the tree, similarly to how Gunnanan did that? Or do you kind of stay at the cart itself, kind of peering out a window, or at the entryway of the door?
Take it outside.
Alright. Please roll me a perception check for your watch. With a 12, we're gonna get... Alright. So, you keep an extra careful lookout because you've just been warned by Gunnanan that something weird had happened. A little divine warning happening over there. So you kind of are alert to every sound that kind of comes in your vicinity. A small bird kind of swoops through the campsites and the vision that you can see, looking to land a little clumsily on the nearby oak tree. The rain seems to be lightening a little by the time your watch is over. So you do hear it gradually start to lighten up, and the lightning and thunder seems to not disappear, but it fades out, and you no longer hear the stormy sounds. Oh my god, I can't English today. Don't mind me. You do notice, though, towards the end of your watch, that as the rain lightens, a heavy mist begins to roll into the campsite, almost as if it's that after rain sort of foggy hue that happens, particularly in very heavy rainstorms. And other than that, your watch has gone by uninterrupted.
Take 40 necrotic damage.
You know, right?
Again.
All right. I will wake up Everett.
All right.
Right.
Everett, where do you keep watch?
Side conditions.
The rain has lightened up to kind of a moderate rainfall, so it's not heavy, but it's not light either. And there's fog kind of covering the ground, probably up to like your mid-calf. But there is a tree a little bit outside of the cart that has some pretty good coverage to stand in or sit in.
Is where the driver sits covered at all?
Only by like half of an awning.
Okay, I'll stand under the tree.
Alright. Roll me a perception check for the night.
Thought I was better at that. Still not bad though.
Right. Your watch goes by pretty peacefully. The rain finally comes to an end, and just the after rain mist and fog kind of remains. You do hear a couple of grunts and like not moans, but like a couple of grunts coming from a little bit northwards. And as the sun is just starting to rise and starting to like give a hue of orange to the fog, you see a brown bear kind of just sniffing the ground, walking southward, not directly at your cart, not directly at you, but just kind of wandering somewhere. And you just kind of hear it give out little snorts, give out little grunts, and occasionally... And the sun has risen.
Alright.
You guys can all take a long rest.
Pretty sure when I leveled up my character, I did that anyways, so...
That's fine too. You're full up, you don't have to click the long rest button. You can if you just want the button clicked, but you don't have to.
I do enjoy clicking buttons.
Over the course of the night, like while you guys were all sleeping, Ulfryk,
Yeah?
for those 2 hours after you fall back to sleep, when Everett's taking the final watch of the evening, you kind of have a really strange dream.
Okay.
So kind of, you wake up in your dream in this very shallow puddle of, or not puddle, very shallow bit of water. And as you stand up and kind of try to, bring yourself off because you're still fully, in your gear, you look around and see that this shallow piece of water is kind of a large pond. And where you're standing is kind of halfway between the very center and the shore. In the center, you see a waterfall falling down from somewhere up above. You can't really tell where the land meets where you're standing, but you know that there's some land up there and there's water just coming down towards the center. Almost as if it's a fountain, kind of coming up and pouring out around. And as you turn around, or turn slowly to observe the surroundings of the shore, you see strangely that the foliage and the look of the land seems to change as you turn slowly. First you see bare trees with just little buds of flowers on them, and then you see fully grown trees with birds and squirrels and every kind of types of creatures just kind of climbing all over it and having a grand old time. And then you see typical fall foliage of trees of different colors, and the ground and grass kind of dried up and covered with a bed of these colorful leaves that have fallen. And then you look at the final section, which is covered in snow. And it seems that there's just a cloud over this section that's just falling snow, and it never seems to really stop. And as you look around, you see a figure staring at you from the winter area. They are very small, and they are very pale. What do you do?
Just put my hands on my hips and stare back.
The head of this figure seems to tilt a little, and you see that part of their head, not part of their head, but the hair that you didn't really notice was hair because you're a little too far to really tell. The hair seems to tilt with it, and you see just very white, like stark white hair. very unnatural looking.
Is this figure similar to the figure that we kicked out?
Which figure?
Not in the same sense, but it seems familiar.
Same energy?
Very similar energy.
Like big weird energy?
Big dick energy, yeah. I mean, fuck. Sorry.
Well, what do you want?
It kind of inches forward a little towards the coastline, but doesn't touch the water. And it holds its arm up and waves.
I'm gonna back up into the area with the trees in full bloom.
Alright. As you start to back up towards the area with the trees in full bloom, the figure seems to fall to their knees and kind of put their hands towards their face. And you blink, and you're no longer where you were. You are instead somewhere very familiar to you. You're a little bit outside of Colfell, and you see an elf and a dwarf, an elf man and a dwarf woman, kind of dressed in ornate robes, and they are crying at a very small, very hidden gravesite. Very small hole has been dug, and the woman dwarf kind of falls to her knees at this gravesite. And as she falls to her knees, a breeze of frigid air kind of comes through all three of you, and you hear a baby crying. And the woman and man look up, and behind the grave is a very small baby wrapped in a very light blue swaddling cloth, and it's just crying. And they pick it up with joyful tears coming down their face and hug each other, walking back towards the Colfell Palace. And then you wake up.
I don't know how the fuck I'm supposed to take that.
Things ain't supposed to be super obvious for you.
You've got to understand, our capacity for interpreting omens is really low.
Apparently.
My brain is terrible.
My intelligence is like, what?
4?
8?
Same.
Oh well.
Wait, that was a funny dream you had.
Did you tell everybody about your dream?
No.
Oh.
I'll still react.
That's a concerning statement.
Yeah, strange dream I just want to have.
Yep, I'm gonna put that out of my mind and continue on my journey and not think about it anymore.
Alright. So you guys wake up, do kind of like a big stretch, and the new day dawns. It is boom. Don't listen to today's weather forecast because I don't want it to be rainy. It's gonna be clear skies, And it is early morning. The horses are ready. They've been fed and watered by Tinnel. Tinnel is already at her station. She's like, let's go, guys. It's a beautiful day. Or oh, God, I can't do Tinnel's voice. Do you guys do anything, say anything before we start up on our way? Both Athil and Inmaia seem to just be chatting along about a frog that Inmaia found before they had settled in for the night.
Lorelei remains curled up under her blanket, but anyone who looks would notice that the horribly messy hair poking out is the color of ice.
There's a picture. I'm just going onto the map. Don't worry about like your placement or anything, or the rain. But you guys can see her more icy looking figure. She looks cute, by the way.
Right over here.
In the corner.
In the corner.
She moved the basket over, obviously.
If it fits, she sits.
I mean, maybe.
Can't see because I'm in the front of the cart. Rip.
You should.
Well, Lorelei, you're looking blue.
Yeah, if you want, I can just move her around for you guys to just like see her.
Oh, cute.
Like, new token.
I like it.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah. Alright, now I'll put her back in the corner.
Gwendolen will just get a as a response.
You feeling alright?
Let me sleep.
Oh, alright. I'll just sit down in the corner.
Alright. If there's nothing else, then you guys will continue on your journey. And that is where we're going to end because I have things I need to do. But when we come back, you guys will actually, unless you want to stop in Rotherham or Locking, I'm going to have us pick up with you guys arriving in Willowdale.
Oh, I'd
Sounds
do that.
I'd be down for that.
Alright.
Never heard of Willowdale.
Basically, my plan is there's no real like plot defining things just yet. I've gotten through everything I needed to get through. Didn't think I'd get through it that quickly, but you guys can either roleplay the whole travel there if you'd like, or we can yada yada it a little.
Yada yada.
Alright, yada yada it is.
I am fine with yada yada.